So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily MCQ Practice. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs through a set of 4 to 5 MCQs. The idea is very simple. We want you to revise your current affairs, and what better way to revise your current affairs than by getting the much needed MCQ practice. Because MCQ practice would come in really handy for your prelims exam this year. And MCQ practice from the topic of current affairs is extremely important because current affairs forms the most dominant portion of prelims examination. Why? 40 to 50% of the MCQs in prelims examination are directly or indirectly related to current affairs. Therefore, you need to cover current affairs and practice MCQs from current affairs on a daily basis because these 4 to 5 MCQs on a daily basis would add up to more than 1200 MCQs. And 1200 MCQ practice from the topic of current affairs alone is more than sufficient for prelims exam. Okay, so make this a daily habit of yours. It would really serve you. All right, let's begin today's session starting with question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding Ratnagiri, Odisha. It is a part of the famous Diamond Triangle of Odisha. Ratnagiri was a famous Buddhist learning center and flourished during the rule of Bhaumakara dynasty. It was first documented as a historical site in 1905. Okay. Now the thing is, there are 3 places in Odisha which are famous for ancient Buddhist buildings. Archaeologists have gone to these 3 famous places and they have dug out very famous Buddhist buildings, monasteries, Buddhist art, artifacts, and whatnot, which proves that these 3 places were very famous centers for Buddhist pilgrims. Now, these 3 centers are Udaygiri, Lalitgiri, and Ratnagiri. And because of their significance from the perspective of Buddhist history, okay, Buddhist art and archaeology, they are called the Diamond Triangle of Odisha. Okay, and recently Ratnagiri is being excavated again. So this part is correct. Now, Ratnagiri was a famous Buddhist learning center and flourished during the rule of Bhaumakara dynasty. Absolutely correct. In fact, some historians say that Ratnagiri rivaled Nalanda University. Nalanda University was a very famous university of ancient times. In fact, many international students studied in this Nalanda University, a very famous center for Buddhist learning and secular learning as well. Right? Historians say that Ratnagiri rivaled Nalanda. It was as good as Nalanda. Okay? So yes, this is correct. And Ratnagiri flourished. In fact, the entire Odisha flourished as far as Buddhism is concerned during the Bhaumakara dynasty's rule between 8th to 10th century AD. Okay, this is also correct. Now, Ratnagiri was first discovered as a historical site in 1905 during British rule. This is also correct. All 3 statements are correct. Okay. Question 2. Consider the following statements regarding death penalty in India. In Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab, the Supreme Court held that death penalty should be awarded only in rarest of rare cases. In the same case, the court laid down aggravating and mitigating circumstances for courts to consider while making decisions. Mitigating circumstances are those which can tilt the case in favor of death penalty. Now look, in 1980, there was a petition in Supreme Court which challenged the constitutional validity of death penalty. These petitioners actually said that death penalty is unconstitutional. And that is why Supreme Court created a 5-judge constitution bench to decide on this question. Now, Supreme Court said in 1980 that death penalty is constitutionally valid. It is not unconstitutional. But in the same breath, Supreme Court said that death penalty should be used in rarest of the rare cases, when the crime is extremely heinous. Okay? So yes, Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab, the Supreme Court held that death penalty should be awarded in rarest of the rare cases. Now the question was asked, What do you mean by rarest of the rare cases? Who would define whether a particular case is rarest of the rare or not? So the Supreme Court gave a bunch of circumstances. Okay. And these circumstances were given to aid future courts in making a decision. Okay. Supreme Court said that Supreme Court basically listed out a set of aggravating circumstances. Okay. If these aggravating circumstances are true, then you should award death penalty. Okay. Now these aggravating circumstances are like, a few examples are that if the murder was pre-planned and it was cold-blooded, if there was a conspiracy to brutally kill a person, right? These are some of the circumstances which would help courts to decide whether you should give a particular person death penalty or not. So court listed down aggravating circumstances, which means those circumstances which would tilt the judgment in favor of death penalty. Then the court gave some mitigating circumstances. Okay, these are those circumstances which would tilt the judgment against death penalty. Okay, so some of these mitigating circumstances are that if a person is not mentally sound, if he's not mentally doing well, right, and many other things. So mitigating circumstances would tilt against death penalty, aggravating would tilt in favor of death penalty. Okay, so second statement is correct, but third is wrong, because mitigating circumstances are those which can tilt the case in favor of death penalty, no, away from death penalty. 1 and 2 only. A. Question 3. Which of the following statements is are correct regarding Praja Mandal movement? It was a political movement in princely states of India that aimed for establishing responsible government. The Indian National Congress supported Praja Mandal movement since the establishment of All India States People Conference. Congress's Haripura session passed a resolution supporting the Praja Mandal movement. Okay. Now look, the entire country during the British rule was divided into two parts. British India and some parts of India were under the rule of local Nawabs, Rajas, Maharajas, okay, princely states. Now, our nationalists and freedom fighters were fighting for civic rights, political rights, representation in the government. They were fighting for all these rights, but they were fighting for all these rights in British India. They were fighting against the British. But the people living in princely states had no access to civic rights, political rights, democratic rights, because these states were ruled by a king, monarch. Now, freedom fighters were fighting for these rights in British India. Therefore, looking at these struggles in British India, some people organized to ask for similar democratic rights from their own kings also. Okay, these people formed Praja Mandal. Praja Mandal. So Praja Mandal movement is basically a political movement in princely states that aimed for establishing responsible government. Responsible means representative government, election based government. Okay, this is correct. Now, these Praja Mandals in different parts of the country they got together and established All India States People Conference. Okay. Now, initially, Congress party did not support these Praja Mandal movements officially. So yes, many people of the Congress party supported the people in Praja Mandal movement, but they did not officially support Praja Mandal movement because they feared that this would annoy the monarchs of princely states who are providing so much money, mental, moral, material support to Congress party. Okay, some of them were providing, some of them were allies with the Congress party. All right, but all of that changed in 1938 when Congress, in its Haripura session under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, Congress passed a resolution that we will support Praja Mandal movements and AISPC. So Indian National Congress supported Praja Mandal movement since the beginning? No, not at all. All India States People's Conference was formed in 1927. Congress party didn't support it then until 1938. Okay. Congress's Haripura session passed a resolution supporting Praja Mandal movement. Absolutely correct. 1 and 3. And last, consider the following statements regarding Punjab Riyasat Mandal. Punjab Riyasat Mandal was basically Praja Mandal movement of Punjab. It was formed in 1928 with Seva Singh Thikriwal as its president. It aimed for securing civil and political rights for subjects of princely states of Punjab, especially the state of Patiala. It was categorically opposed to Maharaja Bhupendra Singh of Patiala. Okay, both these statements are correct. Recently, January 20th is celebrated as a memorial for Seva Singh Thikriwal, basically. Okay, so that is why this was in the news. So both these statements are correct. The correct answer is C. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation, but it would add more value if you revise this lecture as well. And you can revise this lecture from our notes, and these notes are available on our Telegram channel. Okay, the link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. Just have to click on that link. It will take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes for this lecture. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.